we were giving them great leads, but they didn't have anybody to follow up. And when they told me, I'd go, sorry, like, I don't know what to do about it. I can't fix that.
It's like, what do you want from me?
Exactly. And I hated that. It always bothered me because I was like, I don't want to be,
right? It is a weird thing, to be in, not fulfilling the customer's end journey.
And then also when you don't fulfill it, saying, sorry, I don't know what to do, right? So I hated that. It was very cringy to me. And so I said, okay, well, what can I do to solve this problem? So we went down the path. I mean, we got ISAs from the Philippines, and it didn't work exactly the way we wanted to. So the AI is just identifying and segmenting those people and doing all the heavy lifting on both sides and getting people who are ready to talk to you and continuing to stay in touch with people that aren't ready to talk to you until they are.
Connecting with you about AI calling and the digital assistant, I was really blown away when you put your money where your mouth is and you were like, dude, let me just call you. Let my AI digital assistant call you. And it was really shocking to have that flow. And so, like, what made you want to go down the process of even using AI to make phone calls when that's always been an uphill battle, right? It's got a sleazy kind of, we know that. It's got the Indian call center vibe to it. So what made you want to approach that?
So there was this great question, and I'm probably going to end up spending the rest of the time just answering this question. No, but it's a great question. So the first reason was, so our company started as a lead gen agency. We were all service. We had no products. Everything we did was, implementation plans inside of people's CRMs, building workflows, integrations, all that kind of stuff. And then we would send leads through that funnel, right? Whether it was through social media or Google PPC, YouTube, whatever, that was our core thing. Now, what we ended up realizing, and I'm sure hopefully most of your viewers are going to be, team leaders, rainmakers, things like that. All of those people know that agents don't necessarily like to call leads, right? So speed to lead is always a challenge. Follow up is a challenge. And it's mainly because agents are working with active clients, right? It's not because people don't want to close deals. It's because you got a million other things going on. When you start building a big enough business, you need leverage, right? Mm-hmm. And so what started happening was when and if we would lose a client, it was because they would come to us and they'd say, hey, we love you guys. You guys are great at what we do, but we don't have a solution for this, and it's just wasted dollars, right? Which again, every rainmaker on the planet knows how that feels. Even just solo agents knows how that feels.
Yeah.
And so we started saying, okay, well, we don't want to give people a problem that they can't fix, right? That was a mentor told me that a long time ago. And I was like, it's a great piece of advice. You never give somebody a problem they can't fix, right? And so at that point, we were giving certain clients a problem that they couldn't fix. We were giving them great leads, but they didn't have anybody to follow up. And when they told me, I'd go, sorry, like, I don't know what to do about it.
What do you want me to say? I gave you the lead. What do you want from me?
Exactly. And I hated that. It always bothered me because I was like, I don't want to be.
Right? It is, that is a weird thing. To be in and not fulfilling the customer's end journey.
And then also when you don't fulfill it, saying, sorry, I don't know what to do, right? So I hated that. It was very cringy to me. And so I said, okay, well, what can I do to solve this problem? So we went down the path. I mean, we got ISAs from the Philippines, and it didn't work exactly the way we wanted to. So we shifted and we got ISAs from Jamaica, and they were amazing. And it still didn't end up working the way that we wanted to, mainly because of the profitability. The profitability just wasn't there, right? And then you're dealing with humans. You have to train. You've got to coach. And then the biggest challenge with ISAs is if you get local ISAs that are really talented, one, it's a lot of time and money to train them up. And then two, they're really hard to keep because you get a good ISA that knows how to sell. Any salesperson is going to know, oh, I'm going to make more money if I sell the house versus, making 10% for transferring it to an agent, right? So of course they're going to end up leaving. Exactly. And so you just start to get these challenges that come with humans. And so when we decided to go down the AI route, I was always, honestly, I have to say, I was a little bit skeptical in the beginning, right? When this all came up, I was kind of like, we're far away from that. That's not going to be something people are going to want to do. And then I got closer to it and I decided, you know what, let's just figure it out. I'm a big believer in any concept, business, startup, anything. Go build a prototype and give it to as many people as you can for free before you do anything else, right? Just move as fast as humanly possible and go test the shit. And so we went and did that. So we built this model, and my business partner who's in it, he was the one that originally built it. His name's Bobby, and he was a huge agent out in Texas.
Shout out to Bobby.
And yeah, shout out to Bobby, right? So he's the pinnacle of like the nerdy real estate agent. He's the most unicorn person I've ever met. He's great at selling. He's great at talking to people, but he can go code, hard code AI language models like you've never seen before. It's the craziest little duo. Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. Very powerful, very powerful. And so he came to us with this concept, and I immediately did the same thing you did. I was like, let me talk to this thing. I was like, I'm just going to test this out. So I started talking to it. I saw some value in it. I was like, okay, this is better than most of these other versions that are out there.
Yeah.
And then I started looking at some research, and this is the kind of the second answer to your question. There was 2 statistics that we pulled that were really interesting around consumer sentiment with AI. Because realistically, let's be real, who cares what the agent thinks? The agent wants to sell houses. The rainmaker wants to increase units sold. And so they're fine with using AI as long as it achieves that goal, right? The consumers are what we need to worry about. People who we need to make sure are compliant under TCPA regulations, people who are receiving the AI phone call and they're okay with talking to an AI instead of being skeptical or afraid of that. So we pulled 2 statistics. Number 1, the majority of people consumers had a positive sentiment towards AI because they realized it was going to make their life easier, faster, and get them the information they wanted easier and quicker, right? Okay. It's very similar to like when you look at these social platforms. It's not a secret that TikTok is tracking every single thing you do. People are fine with it because they know that TikTok Shop is going to get
billions of people are on it.
Exactly. And it's like, that's okay. I honestly agree with that. It's like, man, it's going to make your life easier. It's going to give you content that's good for you to view, and it's going to show you products that you want to buy. It's going to solve problems for you. Like, yes, it's an algorithm and it's AI, but it's supporting you. It's providing guidance for you, right?
Yeah.
Now, there's obviously a whole other part of that conversation, but ultimately, AI is a valuable resource to help bring things to the top of what you're looking for without having to go search yourself. So people have a positive sentiment about that because they know if they call, they're not going to get a waiting line or go through 7 different people to get the right department. They're going to get AI who's going to answer their problem right then and there, right?
Yeah.
And then the second sentiment was the majority of those same people were also very anxious about talking to an AI for only the reason of they didn't know if it was actually real or not. They don't know if it's actually with the company that it says they're with, right? And so it's this question of, well, am I getting spam like when people say, hey, I got a $5,000 Amazon gift card for you, but you need to send me the money first kind of thing, right? And so that was their sentiment was if this AI calls me and says they're calling from, Robert Biehn real estate team, that's a great little ring. You should use that. If they're calling from Robert Biehn real estate team and they want to offer this source of value, and then we're going to transfer you to an agent, the consumer says, oh, this is great. It's easier for me. But also, do I know they're actually with Robert Biehn real estate team or not? And so what sold me on getting into this was it solves one of the biggest issues we have in real estate, which is consistent nurture, speed to lead, and quality conversations, right? So it fixes those 3 problems in real estate. But then on the consumer side, people want it. They just need to trust it. So that's why we've very deeply invested our time and energy into making the experience very structured and very safe for the consumer, where we're, divulging it's an AI in the first 5 seconds of the phone call. We're getting opt-ins.
We've been very clear about the opt-ins and and even the language and saying, listen, it's got to be abundantly clear what they're signing up for. Otherwise, we're not going to be a part of it.
Exactly.
I respect.
Yeah. And then when the AI is on the phone, she's literally saying to the person, hey, Robert, I'm an AI digital assistant with the Robert Biehn real estate team. They brought me on board to keep you up to date on all the cool things we're doing. Is that okay with you? And so we're saying, hey, I'm an AI. I'm calling you from this person. Is it okay that I'm calling you?
It's
and
like another opt-in.
Yes, exactly. We're getting opt-in on the phone call itself. And what we're noticing is when we used to run it where we just tried to go as fast as possible into the conversation, so many hangups, right? The conversations were, a quarter of a minute long at that. And it was like, hey, this is so-and-so, whatever. As soon as they hear it's an AI, they hang up, right? Yeah. But then what we changed it to was we're actually going to wait to get to the point. We're going to take more time on the call to openly understand the person on the phone and let them know that this is AI and really opt them in. And the amount of the length of conversation went through the roof, but also the amount of people that picked up the phone, had a conversation and turned into a real opportunity went through the roof as well, because people were like, okay, this company's telling me it's an AI. They're telling me who they're with. And now they're getting into the value of the call.
Well, I think that reflects, for anybody who makes phone calls to sell products, to build relationships, you understand that it typically, unless you're fine with, not increasing quality conversations, which some people are, some people just don't mind. But for the most, I would argue, our professionals are looking to increase the quality of the conversation. They understand that you have to have an actual conversation. and
Yes.
and cold callers. It's bizarre that we know that so much, and yet the cold calling centers do the exact opposite still. They still use the outdated 30 years ago, like, hey, Riley, this is Riley, right? Yes. Okay. And they're just trying to get yeses out of you. And do you still own 123 Main Street? Yes. We all know where this is going versus like, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about things, I like the opt-in, if you read Never Split the Difference, great book. Anybody listening, great book. He says, Chris Voss says, to address the negative. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they believe it's negative, but there's a stigma. Address the stigma. And if you do that, it disarms people because you're acknowledging the elephant in the room versus pretending it doesn't exist. And nobody likes that. That's awkward. That's uncomfortable.
100%.
But when you say,
we even changed.
I'm an AI digital assistant, now they have a choice to make, and it's better for everyone that they make that choice with a transparent understanding if they're going to proceed forward.
That's one of the biggest issues I see with other companies trying to do what we're doing is they're trying to make the AI sell, and they're trying to make the AI like a person. And that's just a huge mistake because one, AI is never going to replace the salesperson because it shouldn't, right? And then number two, AI is never going to sound like a human because it's AI, right? And so like you got to tell people, if you literally tell people, hey, I'm an AI and my job is this, you just naturally get a much better conversation. I think too many people right now are focused on functionality and trying to sell and get more appointments using AI. And again, one of the grandfathers of our industry, Gary Keller, said this in the beginning of time, and now he's still saying it to today. The answer to selling more houses is more conversations. Talk to more people, engage with more people. So what we're doing is making it easier for agents to have more conversations faster and identify people that want to talk to an agent versus people that want to keep hearing from an agent. Because that's all we're doing here is we're saying there's a group of people in your database that want to hear from you but aren't ready to talk to you. And then there's a group of people in your database that want to hear from you and are ready to talk to you. Mm-hmm. The AI is just identifying and segmenting those people and doing all the heavy lifting on both sides and getting people who are ready to talk to you and continuing to stay in touch with people that aren't ready to talk to you until they are.
Is, you might go to the doctor's office or something and there's the lady at the check-in and she's like, hey, I'm going to get you ready to see the doctor. We don't look at her and say, oh God, she's trying to upsell me on, medications. We're not even looking at her that way. What we're looking at her is going, I need to see the doctor. She's going to help me get some of the stuff out of the way so that I'm ready to see the doctor when my name is called. And I actually think, when talking to you now, like thinking about the AI is like, the AI is basically saying, listen, I'm not anybody I'm not pretending to be someone I'm not. No. I am an AI digital assistant, and all I'm doing is trying to get you checked in. I'm trying to get you ready and prepped to talk to the doctor, to talk to the agent, who will then administer the service, who will then produce the results that you're looking for, answer the questions that you need answered. I'm just checking you in. I'm just making sure that you're set and ready to go. And so I think that's a cool thing. But I have I like to get into kind of controversial questions because I think they're good to talk about. More conversation, right?
Let's do it.
What do you think about, people like to they make the jokes about like, you see them make fun of the cashiers who can't do math in their head anymore. And like you see the memes. Oh my gosh, you see this 70-year-old guy. I went there and I handed her a 5 and 10 cents and she gave me whatever. And we mock that. But the truth is that there is evolution. And if the vast majority of your time is not spent using that skill, it is absolutely a waste of time to continually refine that skill, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know many people who are skilled in horseback riding as their method of traveling. Mm-hmm. They are licensed drivers, though, that can drive cars. I don't see anybody making fun of them for that. I don't see anybody going, you can't ride a horse. You only can drive a car, which basically does all the work for you. Nobody thinks that way. So now going to the AI and the calling, right? Do you genuinely think, okay, be honest with me here. Do you genuinely think that cold calling is already or will soon become an outdated skill set? Not that it isn't a skill, but that it's going to become an outdated skill set that AI essentially can do better. And again, cold calling, not warm transfers or anything like that. That's different.
Yeah, I think that cold calling, so a very specific piece of this is that you can't cold call with AI. And honestly, with all these regulations, you're going to end up probably not being able to cold call to begin with in most cases, right? So that's one piece of this. I think that let's remove AI from the conversation and just talk about what's happening with this as a whole, the topic of cold calling. My personal opinion, the way I've always focused on sales, the way I've focused on branding and marketing and building our companies is that people are inundated with content. Right. They're inundated with ads. They're inundated with content. They're completely numb to your cold call tactics or your sales tactics or anything like that. What they want is somebody who understands them. Right. They feel understood by you and a solution that's practical. Right. Like a solution that makes sense. Now, my opinion on this is AI shouldn't be used to cold call because I think that the way we look at AI is that it's an attraction mechanism, specifically in real estate. We're looking at how can we use AI to stay top of mind and increase brand awareness in the market with past clients.
Right. There was already an opt-in like we discussed. So it's it's not really cold calling. It's more of you signed up, if you will, to receive an offer, if you will. And I'm delivering that, or I'm prepping you for that.
Yeah, I think what you're asking, I get what you're asking is, hey, is AI going to take over sales, right? Like, is it going to take over that, like convincing people to talk to a realtor, or convincing people to want to talk about buying or selling real estate? And my thought on that is absolutely not, right? I have a very firm belief that AI is going to only elevate the use case of specific jobs. It's not going to take over specific jobs. Now, it might reduce the number of people needed. Like out of college, great example of this is out of college. My internship, my senior year of college was with a company called Gossiger, and they sold machine tools, which are these huge, big machines that use AI programming to cut down blocks of aluminum into screws or hubcaps. I mean, one of our clients was Honda, and they had hundreds of these machines cutting out aluminum hubcaps for Honda cars, right? So it used to be that people would sit there at the machine, they'd press a button, go, and they'd stare at the door. And then when it finished, they'd open the door, take the thing out, put another one in, press the button, and then stare at the door. And it was that kind of activity. Now there's robots that do that. There's still people that are managing those robots, but the robots are the ones pressing the button, waiting, opening the door, grabbing the piece of material, and then replacing the material that needs to be cut. And so I think AI is going to do that in all these other industries. We're not reducing the need for real estate agents to sell and support consumers that want to buy or sell houses. Instead, what we're doing is using a tool to have more conversations faster and bring more value to the local homeowners so that when they need an agent, they're right there, right? And so that's really what's most important when it comes to AI in general, specifically around sales calls or any industry. My personal opinion, as well as others that I know that are in the industry, are basically saying, hey, we're just going to make your job easier and allow you to focus on the stuff that's really important and stop needing to do all those tedious tasks. And that's where I think we have to change our perspective around AI is people are fighting it because it's unknown and it's uncomfortable, which is every industry. That's the cost of innovation, right?
I was just going to say, it's again, I feel like I'm much more of a realist and I'm willing to talk about things that, like you just said, like people in a way are in denial of. I really think that people just don't understand the cycle of life and how every industry is always at threat. Always. Every industry is every job is one better employee, one shift in the market, one invention away from making that job either less valuable or entirely obsolete. And that's a healthy awareness because I think that generations before you and I, assuming our ages, generations before you and I were taught a very different belief system, which was have one set of skills at one job for your whole life. And that's in many ways you amount to, right? I know so many people are like, I worked at the same job for 40 years. But what happens is as technology advances, accessibility, right? We've seen this, has changed everything. And we could never have imagined where we are today. I mean, smartphones disrupted an unbelievable amount of industries. You really think that, like, my parents had a landline? The concept for my father, he was much older, but the concept for my father that one day a landline wouldn't even exist in his home doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so we're always at threat. And where I'm going with this is that I think that a real estate agent or anybody in any industry, right, talking about AI, but I like the topic of real estate. It's something we share in common, is that we do need to be humble and realize that aspects of our job can be replaced. Now, it doesn't mean they'll be better. And it doesn't even mean that they'll be more efficient or effective. That's not always the case. I use AI for many things, and it is often not as good as I need it to be. And I have to go make it at the level it needs to be. I have to go finish that. But when we're humble and we realize, okay, I'm going to be aware of AI, not in denial of AI, that's when we can turn around and say, how do I bring AI into my business?
Well, it's one simple idea. It's funny. I had this conversation with a client the other day who said, well, they were looking at potentially signing up with us. And I think this is the conversation that got them to, get over the hump and decide to utilize the AI, which now they're very happy about. But it was this conversation. It was, man, I don't know if I'm ready for it. I'm uncomfortable, whatever. And I said, let me ask you something. Do you see leverage as valuable in your business, no matter what the form is? Do you see leverage as something that's valuable? Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, every business coach on the planet talks about leverage. Okay, what's different about AI? Oh, well, I don't know. It's AI. It's uncomfortable. Okay, well, it's leverage. It's leverage, right? It's like, would you rather, and this is really the frame of mind here, because I think a lot of people also don't understand what AI is, right? AI is literally stands for artificial intelligence. So it's never going to be as smart as a human because it's never going to have empathy. It's never going to be able to read your facial expressions, right? Like it's never going to be able to do that.
Robot, he might have something to say about that.
Yeah, okay, let's say whatever.
We won't be alive for it.
I don't think it should, I guess is a better way to put it. I don't think it should. Because what value does that bring? What value, that's how I look at it. That's where I think the cutoff is. Like there's no reason for an AI to be able to read your eyebrow raise after it says something and know that means you're, disenchanted or you're frustrated, right? That doesn't make sense. It's not valuable. But what is valuable is the leverage it can provide, the speed at which it can get things done. Your point is great. I use ChatGPT all the time, but am I going to take the copy ChatGPT writes me and just upload it to my website as a blog? No, I'm going to let it do all the heavy lifting and then refine it myself the way that I want it to look and then post it. I took a task that maybe takes me 3 hours and turned it into 15 minutes.
It's incredible. Right? Oh my God.
And that's the way that I like to handle that whole AI objection. Again, whether it's for our company or it's just a dialogue like this, is that everybody loves the term leverage. And if you just shift your frame of mind to AI is leverage that I otherwise would have hired a VA from the Philippines or an assistant locally, whatever. It's the same thing, man. It just doesn't require training. It's a lot less expensive and it's faster, smarter, easier. It's a better solution.
I love that you brought up the Philippines. So, as someone who has VAs and is, for those listening, virtual assistants, a lot of people were worried that it would replace VAs. And here's what I'm telling you, man. It has empowered my VAs immensely to actually be more valuable to me. Because it has just allowed them to do things that just wouldn't be possible without AI. And if anything, it has put me in a position to where I could hire more VAs because I can do more / they can do more now that normally it would be dependent on me. And I have finite amount of time. I have finite amount of resources. And so, but again, if you don't know how to use AI, so, I have a great VA, shout out to Misa, and the more she learns about AI, the more valuable she becomes and what she's capable of doing for the companies that she's working with me on. But anybody afraid and in denial, you are going to run into problems because AI is here and it's not going away. It's only going to become more prominent. So real estate agents, listen, guys, it's okay if you don't like AI. Nobody said you had to like it. But it's like when you hear a real estate agent go, and typically older, but not always, well, I don't really like social media. I never had to do it before. Sure, you might be able to still successfully do real estate without social media. But why would you want to deprive your clients of a tool and resource that directly adds value to the tasks that you're supposed to give them? It just doesn't make sense.
Well, it's like on that topic, here's something I'm very, very passionate about in business and entrepreneurship, right? If you're going to be an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur, if you're going to go build something that you're responsible for, The only thing, in my opinion, that you should care or apply that comes from your own opinion is going to be your version of quality of life, right? Like, obviously you shouldn't go out and run yourself into the ground and neglect friends and family so you can build a business. That's not a good idea. But everything else, it doesn't matter what you think. Like, it's just the truth. Yeah. It's let's call a spade a spade. Like, if you're a real estate agent and you don't like AI, cool, tough luck. Your consumers want it. So do you want to sell houses or do you not want to sell houses? Social media is an even better example. Your consumers, they trust you when they see you on social media. If they don't, they see the other guy on social media talking about all this awesome stuff and they pick him and you're pissed about it. Well, that's because you let your own opinions get in the way. It doesn't even matter if that guy doesn't sell more homes. It doesn't matter. Like you said,
It's well, that guy doesn't even sell more homes. I'm still out producing him. Your client doesn't care because what they see is that that's valuable. Yep. And if you don't produce that value for them, then you are less valuable to them. Yep. And that was like a hard thing for me in my first 2 or 3 years to realize because I'm a very factual person. And so it's very hard for me to realize, oh my gosh, like I'm doing things just to create an impression of value. Mm-hmm. But the real valuable work that I'm doing, they don't even see. Like truly.
But that's marketing. That's branding.
It is. Right.
Yeah. It's what's the message that somebody's going to be able to take in a bite size that's truthful, honest, and coming from a source of integrity that can help somebody understand the value that you offer. And then all the other stuff, it doesn't matter. Like they don't care about that. Right. It's like they don't care what it takes for you to put a house on the MLS. They want you to sell it for the price that they tell you that they want to sell for, or that you at least show in your comps. Right. That's what matters to them. They don't care about all the inner workings. You don't need to tell them how you went through your hiring process for your transaction coordinator and how they're going to help them. Yeah. They don't care.
Yeah, right? They don't care.
It doesn't matter. And I think that's where, again, the whole AI, social media, all that conversation is another way to look at it is the framework or the statement of you're losing so slow, you still think you're winning. Right. I think there's many facets of the real estate industry right now, whether it's brokerage models or it's team models or it's just agent mindset, where there's this idea of, well, I'm not losing fast, so I must still be winning. When the reality is you're losing so slow that you're thinking that you're still winning. And a great example is social media. Let's ignore AI for a second. Social media is a great example of that. Mm-hmm. It's not that you need to go out there and be, Ryan Serhant or Gary Vee or Alex Hormozi. Like, you don't need to do that level, right? Yeah. They're across the whole globe at this point. But your local market looks for you on social media to see if you're a valid person that has real trust. And that's what they do now. It used to be the newspaper. It used to be asking friends and family. It used to be walking outside when your kids were playing and talking to your neighbor and figuring out what they do. And now that's your trusted source. That was the old days. It was, and it still happens. It still happens. But it's not that anymore. Now it's, somebody told me that Robert's a great realtor. Well, I'm going to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and I'm looking to hear what his voice sounds like, what he says. Does he talk about it? Does he post things I agree with? Now I'm going to reach out to Robert.
Right.
Not, Bob told me Robert's great, so I'm just going to
Yeah. I love that you bring that up. I think that referrals are changing. I think that people are aware they have access to the tools now to do their own due diligence. People have also become hyper aware of maybe skepticism is the word. They're skeptical. And I think some of the skepticism is pretty reasonable, right? If you come to me and you go, hey, dude, I saw you weren't feeling good. You should try this ginger, garlic, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you could be right, Riley. You could be right. But I know now that I can roughly fact check you. So you are valuable to me in the sense that you've given me the prompt, if you will. You've given me the thing to put into Google to search, but I'm still going to now actually go search it. I'm not going to take you at your word. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I think you're wrong. It just means that I now understand I have the ability to research for myself that for a long time really didn't exist. I mean, honestly, I would argue that AI has really, and AI, just to be clear, everybody, do not trust AI, but AI is making more people search at deeper levels than they've ever searched before. I'm not saying AI is always right. I'm saying now because they can have conversations with AI, they're asking questions that they've never Googled before. And so go ahead.
What it is, in its simplest nutshell, is the access to information, right?
Yeah.
Again, AI, not AI, social media, whatever. It's this, right?
Yeah.
The access to information that we have as a people, as a culture, whatever you want to call it, as human beings, our access to information at this point is so outrageously quick and easy that everybody's fact checking everything, and I don't see a reason why you shouldn't do that, right? I mean,
Yeah, like
again,
why wouldn't you? What's wrong with that? Like,
it's access to information, and so when you look at AI, again, consumers, realtors, everybody, it's all the same. It's the pyramid concept of like a concept itself kind of follows a pyramid. You have the same macro idea behind anything, right? AI technology has one macro idea. It's fast, easy access to information, right?
absolutely.
Like that's what makes sense to me. That's the whole point of AI: fast, easy access to things, right?
Yeah.
Because it just moves faster than everybody else. It knows more things than everybody else. That's the framework. It's fast and easy access to information. And so whether it's AI or social media or whatever, let's stick with AI just for this analogy, is when you look at AI voice calls, we treat it like this is a faster, easy way for consumers to get information from their realtors. And for a real estate agent, it's a faster and easy way for them to share information with their consumers. There is no sales happening, right? There's no, if you look at our website, there's not one word on there about we're going to set appointments for you and we're going to sell for you and we're going to convert all these people. No, we're going to provide information quickly and then bring people to you that want more information from you quickly. That is all AI is there to do.
And that's so powerful.
That is the entire mindset. And I think, again, more and more conversation around that and making people really understand the true value of AI is, I think, when we're going to stop being afraid of it. Because it's like the BlackBerry and iPhone debacle, right? Everybody loved their BlackBerry, and then when they realized the tiny little buttons and how annoying that little ball in the middle was to move around, and then they see the iPhone, it's, you get a couple of years of reluctancy to change, and all of a sudden people use it, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing I've ever had in my life. This makes my life so easy. All of that. AI is going to have the exact same impact. It's just now we have easier access to information where it can happen faster from people watching content like this online, right? That's the whole framework. It's that easy.
So let me ask you this. You work with a lot of top teams and agents. I know you're at the conferences. What do you think when it comes to how they implement AI? What are you seeing? Let me try to think of this question. Like the mindset of the best of the best in the industry that you work with. What is their mindset when they're talking to you about AI? Like, what are they saying? What are they asking? What are they looking at?
Systems before and after, input systems and output systems. That's the best way I can describe it. Is like, I just had a team that did this, a really, really big team, very systems oriented. All their people are direct. I swear they have like every team member is a director of operations, basically. Very structured, very simple. I love them. They're so easy to work with, so fast, so simple. And immediately when our first sales call that we were on with them, the conversation was, what information do you need for it to work well? And then what happens after to make sure that we're actually closing deals from this resource? That was how they talk to me. That's how all the big top teams talk, right? They know that they know that it's going to work, because that's the beauty of AI. This is one of my favorite parts. I tell people all the time. This is the first time that you can guarantee conversations happening the way you want and when you want. This is the first time you can do that. You can't guarantee a conversation with a human being. They might be pissed because they heard 49 no's before they made their 50th call. So it's hard for them to get the emotions out, right? They might want to take a bathroom break before they make their next string of calls and miss an opportunity from somebody driving in the car, right? Like, there's so many things that you got to pay attention to around the human aspect of conversations. This is the first time in history that you've been able to literally guarantee what is said and when it's said with the AI, right? So that's part of that conversation too, is the top teams and a lot of the big agents and teams that are using us, they know, like, this is just what it's going to be. There is no like if, ands, or buts about it, right? And so their real discussion with me is what inputs and what output systems are going to make this a leverage resource that has massive ROI and that we can build inside of our business at a super high level. That's really the conversations that are happening.
So now let's take it to an average agent. And when I say average, I mean average that actually produces, because the average agent doesn't sell home. Last year, I believe the number that came out was like 75% of agents didn't sell a single home. It was something like that. It was insane. 80-20 rule, right? I mean, that's existed, I swear, forever.
NAR said, I think it was 96% of real estate agents last year sold less than 4 houses. It was another stat that I read where I was like,
it was pretty mind-blowing. I'm like, it costs you more to have your license, like, for some people. So,
Yeah.
so now let's bring in an average agent. They sell 10 homes a year, which is pretty good. Just to be clear, everybody, I'm not dogging on anybody selling 10 homes a year. You're way above average, actually. So you're selling 10 homes a year. Does AI apply to them, or do you think that AI applies to people at a mega level?
No, I think AI applies to every single person. I think honestly, and where I think I see the industry going right now, I think there's a lot. I've had a lot of conversation about this just with the shifts happening in the industry. I think you're going to kind of start seeing more of a part in the the industry in a way where there's not going to be the people that are going to be willing to trudge through the Amazon of trying to build a mega team anymore, right? It's going to be challenging to do, right? So you're probably going to have the really efficient solo agent that utilizes technology, AI, and a lot of leverage. So they're going to be super efficient. They're going to go from selling 10 houses to 20, 25, 30 houses a year, which a lot, and again, like you said, not dogging on it, that's a great living.
Oh, I was going to say, they'll be living a good life.
Yeah, that's an outstanding living. And so if you put these types of systems in place, you're going to have an extremely efficient business as a solo agent where you really get to decide how everything functions. You're going to get AI to, again, guarantee those conversations, guarantee your process, and be a really efficient solo agent. Or it's going to be extremely efficient, massive teams, right? Or networks or groups that are national, local, whatever you want to look at, regional, all that kind of stuff. And so I think overall, AI is going to be leveraged top to bottom in the industry, from brokerages to solo agents to brand new licensees to the biggest teams in the country. It's just a matter of how they utilize it inside of different systems. And that's the same for any company anywhere. I mean, you look at, companies that are centuries old, their systems had to evolve with the growth of the business. And so is the AI with the growth of a real estate business. But the application and the use case and the tool, that's one of the best pieces of AI is like, think about an ISA. Right, let's just use like the phone call AI example. An ISA, a good ISA, is expensive, very, very expensive.
Absolutely,
there's a lot of training. So somebody that sells 10 houses a year, not only can their bottom line not justify an ISA, but also they're trying to figure out how to sell more houses. So how the hell are you going to teach an ISA to help you sell more houses? Like there's so much growth that needs to happen.
Right.
So, and then for a big team, they have the luxury of having ISAs, but then you also got to look at a big team that runs on a 15% profit margin because they have to have 10 human local ISAs to continue turning that wheel. So now when you look at voice AI, a solo agent can get voice AI for $200 a month, right? And then a massive team can get the same AI at a higher use case for $2,000 a month. Those are both at probably 85% cost savings from what a human ISA would cost.
Absolutely.
And then you look at ChatGPT for a content writer. Nowadays with SEO and how Google's changing its algorithms to pull people to the top of search engine result pages, like SEO is becoming way more important. Google Ads is becoming way more important. All these resources and all these tools are becoming more important. But people to do it are expensive as hell. And you can go type into ChatGPT, write me 10 blogs about these 10 topics and localize them to Columbus, Ohio. In 15 minutes, you got 10 blogs localized to Columbus, Ohio, and you just need a VA to go critique them and post them on your site. So it's just, again, it goes back to that conversational leverage.
So are there any, I agree with you, by the way. I think there's a lot of good points there. Are there any other AI tools or things that you're seeing coming into the real estate space, or just in general AI, but, I like keeping it on the theme of real estate, that you're seeing that are interesting, promising, that you're watching, or because I see some, and I'm not too impressed with most AI right now in real estate. I think a lot of it is still very, I'm prompting ChatGPT to pull, writing you your property description. And I'm like, that's cool and all, but it's not impressive. Like it's nice and all, but I'm not seeing as much. It's part of why I like talking to you guys, is I'm seeing you guys are doing something at a very high level with AI that I didn't see a lot of other people doing. So do you see anybody, and you don't have to say names if you don't want to, but are you seeing anything like that?
I think one of probably the only use cases I'm seeing at a super high level right now with AI is using AI alongside of predictive analytics for database health. That was a newer thing that I really liked that I saw.
Okay.
Other than that, no, if I'm being honest. I think a lot of people are doing the same things, and then everybody's just kind of in a race to try to perfect the same thing. So like a lot of these CRMs at this point, if the CRM doesn't have like AI text, in it or something like that, majority of them do, right? Obviously, except for like the Follow Up Boss, for example, that, well, actually, I don't know. I don't know if that's new or not with Follow Up Boss, but with Follow Up Boss, they're all about integrate everything in. My personal favorite is around the Follow Up Boss. There's multiple I like, but I'm
Sure.
not dogging Follow Up Boss. I love Follow Up Boss. I think it's one of the best, if not the best.
Absolutely.
But it sits in its own seat. It has its own category. But majority of these CRMs have text AI, right?
Yeah.
Their predictive analytics isn't like a new thing, right? You take a subset of categories and you throw data through it and hope that it spits out something that makes sense in percentage scores for likelihood to sell or something like that. So I think that everybody's kind of using AI in the same ways. I do think that we're really trying to get out ahead of the curve in a lot of ways. So I appreciate what you were saying. But aside from us, I would say the only other thing I'm seeing right now that's really impressive is mixing predictive analytics with AI to start being able to specifically identify database health. That's something that we're focused on very deeply, and that's something I've seen a few other people doing.
Yeah, and I think there needs to be. I think that's actually almost like how, like, what do they say? Missing the forest for the trees is that a lot of people are so excited that AI is going to write a tedious post for them that they're missing that. Yes, that's cool and all, I guess, but it's not what people glamorize it to be. And I'm sure you can too. I can go through my feed and go AI written AI. It is so unbelievably obvious, and like, I have people who are like, I'm an AI tech guru. And I'm like, if you're a guru and you're copying and pasting from AI, no, you're not. You are lying. You are just someone who knows how to put a prompt in there and hit copy and then paste. But I think that one of the biggest things that AI is being underutilized for is data interpretation. Like taking, and it's similar to what you just said, I'm sure, is just taking all of this data. Real estate agents have an unbelievable amount of data. If they're doing their job right, they have an unbelievable amount of data. Title companies, lenders, like everybody in the space has all of this data. But most of them, if you ask them, and I've been through this with thousands of agents, so I can speak on authority on this, they have no idea what to do with that data.
They don't even know what it means. They have no idea what the data even.
They don't know what it means. It's a different language, right? It's like handing someone a book in Korean and they only speak English. And you're like, now take that and do something with it. And you go, literally, I don't even know where to start. Like, what do you want me to do with this? And AI can turn around, take that book, and then turn it into something and say, this is what you should do.
Yeah.
And it's
that's what it's interesting too, because there's a lot of leaders in the industry that we can watch and learn from. And again, let's, like you keep saying, let's stay inside of real estate. There are many leaders in the brokerage game, a lot of cloud-based brokers. There's many leaders in terms of just big organizations inside of the industry, where when you look at an organization as it gets bigger, they have to roll things out slower, right? So they have to move slower with their adoption of things. Now, what do you see a lot of these big organizations doing with AI? They are optimizing internal operations using AI. And a lot of it comes down to analyzing data and creating outputs based off the data that then humans take and go take action on, right? And so I
believe that's what Jeff Bezos recently said about AI at Amazon. I believe that he said 90% of Amazon's AI resources and development is internal operations.
Yep. And that's what it should be. Again, and that's how we look at our tool. That is where AI is.
Right. As a user, we just know that the experience got better, but we don't know how, we don't know when. We just know the experience got better. While over on their end, they're like, dude, we spent hundreds of millions of dollars, unbelievable amount of manpower to get to an experience where the user doesn't even realize. They feel it, but they don't consciously know, oh, from this day to this day, it got better. They just know it's better. We just feel that it's more seamless and smooth. And I think that that's something that is, and you brought it up with the AI calling when you said there is no bathroom breaks, there is no bad moods. That stuff doesn't exist. What that translates to for agents who don't still understand what that means, and it's okay, this is a heavy topic, is that the experience for your leads and your clients is seamless and it's smooth. and it's consistent. And that is one of the most imperative things that you could ever do to create loyalty, to create trust. Trust. What is trust? Trust is someone doing the thing that you expect them to do every time you expect them to do it. Trust is repeatedly showing that I am faithful to my wife, that I pay the bills consistently, that I fulfill the promises that I made. And I would argue there's a stigma around agents. They don't pick up their phone. They don't call their leads. They forget anniversaries, birthdays. They miss another.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And those stigmas exist, and there's some reason for them to exist. Because if you think the average agent, 75% didn't sell a home last year, 96% sold between 1 and 4 homes last year, then you're right. They're probably not the most experienced and efficient person. However, a client comes to me. They have no idea how many homes I sold. What they are expecting is that I am a professional and that my experience that I give them is seamless. Now imagine taking your AI and other AI opportunities and saying, listen, I may only sell 4 homes a year, 10 homes a year, 50 homes a year, 200, 1,000 homes a year. It doesn't matter. It will always be a seamless experience. You will always get these things because AI, when I'm sick, AI is still working. When I'm on vacation, AI is still there making sure that experience is seamless.
Yeah, well, that's how we're even using AI as a company. Like my mantra for my businesses, and I think real estate is I think that this principle is one of the most heavy success principles in the entire real estate business, which is you are not going to convince somebody to buy or sell a house. There is no convincing or sales that goes into it, right? I heavily believe that because it's one of the biggest investments that anybody's ever going to make in their life. Most people, it is their biggest investment. So that's why I think there is that stigma, is that there is a nature of trying to sell in some cases, and it is a very scary thing for people to do, buying and selling houses. And so you're not going to convince somebody to do it. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to support, you're going to guide, you're going to educate, you're going to be their trusted person, their trusted resource. And again, like you said, what is that? What has to happen there? You have to continue to deliver on the promises that you made for them and for yourself. And if you just keep delivering, you just naturally will begin to build their trust because you're not convincing them of anything. There is no need to convince somebody to do anything.
You know what's crazy? That's impressive to them. In fact, I'll take it a step further. 100%, it's impressive to them that you do your job. And I'll give an example, right? Had a listing. Now, the average agent, this is not an insult, by the way. I'm just showing a contrast. The average agent tries to do everything themselves. Everything, whether it's because they want to pinch pennies, whether it's a control thing, whatever. I realize that I have 2 kids, I have a wife, I have other hobbies, I have other obstacles, and I'm human. I get sick, I get tired, I get frustrated. So I don't like relying on myself to do everything perfectly every single time. So I go for a listing, and then as I'm doing the listing, my sign installer comes in and installs the sign, and my clients go, "Whoa. You already had that ready." Of course I did.
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
Yeah. And then I go, and the photographer will be here on Monday. Wait, what? You already got the photographer schedule? Of course I did. And it'll go live on Tuesday. Wait, you're going to go live on Tuesday? Yeah, it's already set up. It's ready to go. Photos come in. We're set. And then this person's going to contact you on this day. Now we throw in these things. And again, AI is what I can do blows their minds. Hey, the listing's live and social media ads are already running and it's on a listing billboard at this location. Wait, what? Mm-hmm. I told you this is what I do. Mm-hmm. And then they go, I kid you not, it's been a month from that closing. They called me 3 days ago and they go, "Robert, dang dude, you were right. I have never seen anybody do it like you do." And I said, I told you you'd say that. I said, I am on it. And while other people may drop the ball, I don't. Yeah. Because I put checks and balances in place to make sure that you won't even know when I make a mistake. I tell them that up front. You won't even know when I make a mistake because I am human and I will make mistakes. And because I'm aware of that, that's why I have a transaction coordinator. That's why this is automated. That's why I have a partner here. That's why I do what I do. So that you never, ever have to worry. about whether I'm going to take good care of you, about even deeper, whether working with me was the right choice.
Yeah.
You'll never doubt that.
And the only way that you can build that type of trust is by using tools and technology that never fail you. That just, it's the truth. I mean, it really is the case. And again, like you said, it's the trust and the credibility from the consumer comes from you. It doesn't come from your TC who dropped the ball. I always think that's kind of funny too, is like, again, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as a business owner, like if it's a good thing, it's everybody else. If it's a bad thing, it's your fault. Right. And that's just the truth. You only ever hear the bad things. You never get to hear the good things. And so when your consumers come to you, they're coming to you. They're expecting you to get the job done.
Right.
They're not, if you go, oh, well, my TC messed this up. It wasn't my fault, Robert. It was their fault. Well,
yeah. I mean, listen, you go to Amazon, you don't get your package, and Amazon goes, oh, I'm sorry, the delivery driver took the day off. I don't care. No, I didn't get my package. From you. Fix my problem. Like, fix my problem. Exactly. That's you.
So and again, that's why, you hear like big organizations like Amazon, they're leveraging it for internal operations. It's just, that is where I think I don't even remember what the original conversation was.
I know. I told you this would happen.
This is perfect. I love this. But like, ultimately, I think that is the most important message to send as it relates to technology and AI and social media and a lot of the changes. I think the industry, with respect to the people that are reluctant to the change and also in their support, change is not a fun thing at all. But also when it's a ton of change all at once, it's very hard to not just like hermit,
or you're overwhelmed. Oh my God. Yeah.
I made that mistake with one of our first companies. Was we just made a million changes all at once, all at the same time, and it was just an absolute like, oh my gosh, right?
Guilty.
It was so hard. Yeah, we all are, right? And it was so hard in those moments every day to not just like hermit away and close my laptop and just be like, I'm just gonna wait out the storm. But you can't do that, right? You can't, because everything will fall apart because it's on you, right? And so how do you reduce that pressure and keep adopting the new things that happen? Use the tools in a way that you're comfortable with, because that's one of the biggest perks of AI is like, there's so many tools you can use it for, right? There's so many,
and you don't have to use it more than you want to. People who go like, well, AI, I don't want it to do this. Okay, then don't have it do it. Like, I don't want AI to know this. Like, there is so much, you're a real estate agent. You know what that means? You own your own company. You are your own culture. You are the boss of your company. And so if you're a real estate agent, you don't have to use AI in any way you don't want to. Mm-hmm. You're not at the mercy of AI. You decide how AI is going to be a part of your business or not. And that's up to you, and you have those options. All right, so let's wrap up this call, because I know everybody's going to ask this question. So I want to get ahead of it. Everybody's going to want a demo. There's no way that. So what is the best way that we could make that happen? Where people, because we could do it ourselves, but I also would love to give people the opportunity to experience it, because nobody really will believe it. They might think we staged it. They might think that you sent me the questions in advance and whatever, right? People will not believe it.
That you and I are just two talking AIs. I mean, who knows? We might just not.
For real, right? Like, right? The whole thing is I told you, right? Hey, man, I want to do it myself when we first met. I want to hear the call myself. I wanted you to prove to me, because I don't take anybody else's word on that. We talked about it earlier. So how could someone get to experience this for themselves with you?
Yeah. If you go to our website, it's just speculo.ai. It's our website. It's speculo.ai. There's two ways. One, you can book a call to meet with us and go through a demo, or you can, on our homepage, there's just a little play button on the homepage, on the top of the homepage. And you can just press play, and immediately you'll just hear a voice, and she'll say, hey, my name is Isa. How can I help you today? What questions do you have? And then you can just start talking to her, and she will just, work through objections you have, talk through, how she can help you in your business. And it's a very high level conversation just around your business and how you think that, she can help you.
That's awesome. All right. So I want everybody to go do that has an interest in integrating AI into their real estate business. I want you guys to go do that, and then leave a comment on what you felt about talking to an AI. Like, that was a wild thing when ChatGPT came out with their advanced voice conversations. It was so surreal to be talking to it.
Yeah. Dude, I have like a whole, in my ChatGPT account, I have a whole section, like a whole folder with one of their voice AIs with their new 4.0 mini that they just launched. And I treat her basically like she is just like my like assistant around all conversation. She's like my sounding board. So when I'm driving to the gym in the morning, when I'm at the gym, when I'm driving home from the gym in the morning, when I'm on breaks in between calls, I will literally have conversations with her, and I'll say, "Hey, I was just on a meeting and I thought about this. Can you leave this inside of this?"
Yes.
And then she'll go put it in, and then every day at the end of the day, I send a little message to her. I just say, "Hey, can you summarize our conversation today and drop it in our CRM?"
Yes.
And she'll summarize the call, drop it in the CRM, and then I'll say,
"Oh, I lost you. You still there?
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm good. I can see you. Can you hear me?
No. I think I lost you.
Hello.
Oh, you're back. You're back.
There we go. I remember I was talking about how cool AI is, and how I use it. I think that was pretty much it. It was just I talk to her all the time, and she's my little sounding board. So.
Yeah, honestly, I do that too. All the time. I'll pull her up, and I'll just start talking to her, and I just feel like we can't understate how. Again, what is that? That's data interpretation. I have this data. I'm communicating with you. I need you to log it, and then I need you to interpret it for me. Make it manageable. Make it make sense. Make it helpful to me, relevant to me. Sometimes you can even just ask it, what should I do with this information? What can I do with this information? You know?
Yeah. I think it really is just.
It's freezing on my end, in and out at the end, right here at the end. What is happening? Is that you too? Is it bugging out on you too, or is it?
You hear me okay?
Yeah. It's like right as we're trying to come to a close. It's when it started to.
I was going to say, can you hear me okay now? We're good.
I think there's a delay. Still, it looks like video to now, but I think I hear the voice okay.
Okay. Well, the last thing I was going to say, just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me as I'm talking. The last thing I was going to say was, in a just common practice way for somebody to adopt AI and not be intimidated by like this conversation or feel like, well, geez, I still don't know where I should start with this or where I should get involved. I think the best thing somebody can do is just go to ChatGPT and just start asking it questions.